Hello and welcome back to another video on the Wrestling Debate and to another edition of Raw out of 10. Big show today, of course. We're only 2 weeks away from WrestleMania now. It's coming up really quickly, and card is just getting fuller and fuller. Lots of big matches being confirmed, and as I said, big episode of Raw coming out today. Lots going on, and Raw kicked off with Stone Cold Steve Austin's entrance music, but as Kevin Owens walked out, really appreciated that, wearing the Hall of Famer's ring attire and a ball cap. KO pretended he was Austin and mocked the latter. Stone Cold's music hit for a second time, and it's just another prank from KO. Owens called for some beer, but dropped it as it was thrown at him. Kevin asked for one of them to bring it over to the ring, only to hit the poor guy with a stunner before pouring the beer on top of him. That was the end of the segment. Really good start from Kevin Owens. Loved it from start to finish. Yeah, just shows what a great heel he was. More of this sort of stuff plays before backstage. Seth Rollins was questioned about the possibility of not having a WrestleMania match, and he just laughed like a maniac and walked off before he got Ray and Dominik versus the Dirty Dogs. The Miz came out to join the Dirty Dogs at ringside. Ziggler and Dominik kicked off the bout, and the latter connected with an arm drag and sent his opponent outside. Back in the ring, Rude tagged in and they hit a double tame beer fall on Dominik. Ray took out Ziggler before joining Dom to take out Rude. Seth Rollins then made his entrance, and the show was on hold. Rollins kept getting a mic and talking about WrestleMania, but kept being cut off. The Visionary was furious, but back to the match, and Rollins was nowhere to be seen. Dominik got some big moves on Rude before Dolph came in and broke the pin. The Young Mysterio took out Ziggler, but the distraction let Rude hit a spinebuster for a near fall. Dominik hit the 619 and a frog splash, picking up the win. Ziggler took out Dominik after the match, and The Miz came out and hit a skull-crushing finale on Ray before ripping off his mask. Ray hid his face and retreated as the A-lister held the mask like a trophy and walked backstage. I mean, like, this gets a 5 out of 10 for me. Like, the whole match wasn't too bad, but yeah, it's just like Seth Rollins coming out, it just made it feel like so insignificant. 5 out of 10 from me. Rollins was backstage and called Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville buffoons for cutting his promo off before laughing and walking off. Meanwhile, The Miz was walked around wearing Ray's mask and said it was a gift for Logan Paul before it was announced that Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns would be face to face next week on Raw. Love to see that. Before he got Omos versus Apollo and Commander. Aziz distracted Omos while Apollo tried to hit him with a dropkick, but they were overpowered as Omos took them both down. Aziz managed to send Omos into the ring post as they returned to the ring. Aziz was being tossed around before Cruz was dropped. Omos told Apollo that this was all his fault before dropping him on top of Aziz and pinning them both simultaneously. This gets a 5 out of 10 from me. Yeah, you know Aziz is a big guy too. I mean, kind of just feels like a waste of him. And Apollo too, to be fair. After the match, Omos said that he was unstoppable and put an open challenge to a possible WrestleMania opponent. Last year is an interesting one. Personally, wouldn't be my choice. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see where it goes. AJ Styles was out next and said he was recovering from an injury for the last few weeks next to Edge. He said he wasn't looking for an explanation, he wanted to fight. The phenomenal one called out Edge, but Seth Rollins walked out for about the 50 minutes time already. Rollins told AJ to go home and returned at WrestleMania, while Seth ends Edge's career at the show shows. AJ proclaimed that he would show up at the Premium Live event as long as he could walk. Rollins, though, talking AJ, and they argue for it before Adam and Sonya came out to announce match between the two. The winner gets a WrestleMania match. I mean, like, I thought this was already agreed. I mean, like, this is just ridiculous. AJ attacked Rollins, but Seth managed to run away. I mean, like, just a lack of logic. Backstage, Lena Vega was concerned about Carmella's lack of focus due to the wedding and tossed her phone away. They called each other names before Mella slapped Vega and a brawl broke out, and that led to Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley versus Shayna Baszler and Natalya. Ripley and Baszler kicked off the match, and Rhea landed a big dropkick and hit a big basement dropkick. Carmella came out mid-match and started complaining to Corey Graves before taking a big distraction at ringside. Liv tried to tag Rhea, but Shayna distracted Lacquer off the apron. Baszler and Natalya cornered Liv in the ring and hit a heart attack to win. After the match, Vega came out with her scepter and took out Liv and Rhea, and Carmella wiped out Natalya and Baszler at ringside. The women's tag champs stepped into the ring and stared each other down before embracing. I mean, like, it was okay. I mean, like, at least it's some storyline for the women's tag team title match. Not that anyone cares, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10. We then learned that Bianca Belair had suffered an injury after the Becky Lynch attacked her with a steel chair, and Becky Lynch was out next on Raw with a chair. Lynch threatened Belair and said she would sell herself to keep the title. She then said that she would show the fans how Riddle's meant at Mania if Belair made it there. And yeah, quick promo from Becky Lynch, kind of put her over with Bianca's injury. It was okay. And before backstage, Austin Theory called Pat McAfee a dumb jock before threatening to get him fired. And yeah, that led into a match against Finn Balor. But you know, 2 okay promos there. But yeah, anyway, Pat McAfee walked out to join the announce team while Austin Theory took control early on. Balor came back with a dropkick and stomped on his opponent on the apron before he was sent outside. McAfee distracted Theory at ringside while Balor dropkicked Austin through the barricades. The Prince then got some big moves before the match went outside, and a constant distraction from McAfee let him take control. Back in the ring, Balor missed the finish, and Austin was about to get the match finished before McAfee went on the apron. The latter backed off Balor and countered the finisher before Theory set up for the finisher once more. Another well-timed distraction from Pat saw Balor rolled up Austin to pick up the win. Yeah, I feel like I've seen this match 1,000 times before, but it kind of was made up by the intervention on Pat McAfee this time on Raw. Yeah, kind of did add another dynamic to it, made it decent, so I'll go with 7 out of 10. Before we got RK Bro versus Alpha Academy, Randy and Gable kicked off the match, and Orton had the upper hand early on and tagged in Riddle for a big stomp. Gable got a suplex and tagged Otis, who helped isolate Riddle in the ring. After a break, Randy tagged in and tried for the draping DDT, but Otis stopped it. Randy hit the DDT on Gable anyway and set up for the RK. The latter blocked the move before sending Orton outside. Riddle came in and hit a Bro Derek for the win. Otis attacked Riddle after the match, and the Street Profits came out to take them out. The latter clearly cleared the ring before hitting their finishers on Riddle before Raw moved on. I mean, kind of just a nice way to end this feud off. I'll give it 6 out of 10. Before we got Reggie and Dana Brooke versus Tamina and Akira Tozawa. Dana got on Reggie's back to start off the match, and Tozawa ended up on Tamina's back as the match continued. Tozawa was caught in the middle of the match and went on, and Reggie managed to get a quick win by rolling them up. Tamina then carried Tozawa backstage after the match as Reggie and Dana celebrated. I mean, this gets a 4 out of 10 from me. We're 2 weeks out from WrestleMania and we're just filling up time on this show doing 24/7 bollocks. I mean, come on, it's the biggest show of the week, and 2 weeks out, just a few short hours left to build. We're doing this bollocks. Yeah, not great. Before it's time for AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins, something they could have given an extra 5 minutes to. AJ was taken down early in the match, but dodged the pedigree after sending Rollins outside for a big diving forearm. After a break, AJ got some good hits before Rollins started to tackle and sent Styles into the turnbuckles. Rollins was back in control, got a few near falls before Styles tried for the phenomenal forearm, only slip and fall on the outside. Rollins got a big dive before heading to a break. Back on Raw, Rollins unloaded on his opponent before the latter fired back. Rollins reversed the Styles clash, but the front face buster. Rollins got the Falcon Arrow for a near fall as AJ got vertical suplex. AJ then climbed the rope and Rollins followed him up, and Styles dropped Rollins with a torture rack. AJ then tried for a phenomenal forearm, but a super kick and a buckle bomb. Rollins hit a frog splash, but Styles got his knees out. Styles was about to finish the match when Edge came out and caused the DQ. Rollins tried to reverse it, but failed before losing it at ringside. Rollins got a mic and said it was bullshit, and Rollins said Monday Night Raw will not happen until he gets his WrestleMania shot before wrecking the stage as Raw went off the air. I mean, it was AJ versus Seth, so the bit we got was great. 7 out of 10. Edge interference, it's kind of predictable. But yeah, it was okay. I'll give it 7 out of 10. Could have been better though, to be honest. Overall this week, Raw gets a 6 out of 10 from me. It was an okay episode of Raw. It starts off really badly. But yeah, it kind of got better during on. Still a few bits that I don't think could have been better considering we're 2 weeks out from WrestleMania. But on the whole, it wasn't a terrible Raw. But anyway guys, that's the video. Thanks very much for watching. So like, share, subscribe, but lots of comments down below. Follow us to the link description for daily wrestling news and subscribe to the channel. That'll be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.